Hey guys, Sak here from sakitech, and in today's video, I'm going to show you guys first 17 things to do with your brand new iPhone 17 Pro or the iPhone 17 Pro Max. You paid a lot of money for this smartphone, and I want to get you started with some of the best tips, tricks, and tactics. So let's dive in and get started right away. All right, so the very first thing that you want to do is you want to go to your settings, and then you want to go over to your battery, and then go over to the battery health. And you want to make sure that the battery health says normal, the maximum capacity says 100%, and the cycle count must be 0 if you purchased a brand new smartphone. So that means this is in fact a brand new phone and the battery is actually brand new. If anything here looks different, you need to return that phone and get it replaced. This is very important. The cycle count must say 0 when you buy a brand new phone and turn this on for the first time, and the maximum capacity must be 100%. If this is 80%, but if this is 0, there is still a problem. And of course, this must say normal. So that's the first thing you want to do with your iPhone. Let's move on to the next one. Now, the next thing has to do with your brightness. So if I go to the main menu right over here, okay, you want to go to your display brightness, and what you'll see is you'll see the brightness indicator right here in the middle. However, believe it or not, auto brightness by default is in fact enabled on all iPhones. So even if you think you change the brightness manually like this or that, there's actually an auto brightness feature in the background that is going to bring the brightness lower or higher based on ambient lighting conditions. So you can make a decision if you want to actually turn off the auto brightness, so you can always manually control the brightness from the control panel right over here or from right here. So what you want to do is you want to go to the main settings and then go to accessibility and then go to display and text size, and all the way at the bottom you can see mine is turned off because I just turned this off. By default, it is enabled, so the phone actually regulates your brightness without even you realizing it. Okay, so turn that off if you want complete manual control on the brightness. Next up, now the next thing that you want to do is you want to go to your settings, and then again you want to go over to the battery, and I want you guys to take a look right over here. Here's that battery indicator, but it doesn't have a number in it, so you can actually enable the battery percentage, and that's going to show you exactly how much battery you have left. Now it says 100%, but when I had this disabled, it was not saying that. It looked kind of full, but you never know exactly where you are at. But when you enable this, you can see that at all times, which is fantastic. Okay? All right, the next thing that you want to do is you want to actually customize your iPhone, and that's the home screen right here. And thanks to iOS 18, we have some incredible customization. So press and hold on an empty area on the screen, wait for the wiggle, and then tap on the edit button right here, and you can see you can add widgets, you can customize, you can edit the wallpaper, and you can edit the pages. Now what you want to do first is you want to tap on customize, and what you have here is you can go with the default icons, you can go with the dark theme as you can see. You can also go to the tinted option right here and change the tint based on your needs, but currently the most popular one is the clear icons, and that is the new liquid glass interface, so you get this glass-like icons all over the place. On top of that, you can change this to dark glass, or you can do auto, okay? So that's going to change based on if you have dark mode enabled or not, or you can just go for the light mode if that's the one you like. And of course, you can tap this button here to make the icons slightly larger. You can see the actual subtitle gets removed and the icons get a little bit bigger, okay? So that's going to be up to you. Most people prefer this. And also, you can tap the brightness icon here, and that allows you to change the brightness of the background. So if you want a brighter background, boom. If you want something that is more dark, you can have that as well, okay? So that's the clear liquid glass icons. If you want, for the video, I'm going to keep it to default for now. But remember, you can go full tint. It's all up to you. You can customize this as much as you like. The next big thing is the widgets. So you can tap over here to add any widget that you want. Basically, if you want a widget on the home screen, you just grab it and just drag it, and everything gets rearranged to make room for your widget, as you can see. And also you can see this little handle right here. You can make these widgets as large as you want, okay? Now in this widget, you'll see 3 dots. Those 3 dots mean that inside this widget, you actually have another widget. So here's one widget, the maps, and here's the notes widget. So you can do that as well based on your needs. If you drag one widget on top of the other widget, it creates the stacked widgets, and you have the option to go through several widgets at the same time. So to give you guys an example, if I were to resize this widget to this size and then grab it and put it in here, now it's part of that stack, and now I have 4 of them. All right, as you can see. So that's all going to be up to you. Now the next thing that you want to do is you have an action button right here, and you want to customize it. So right now when I press and hold my action button, it turns on the flashlight, as you can see. So you can customize all that stuff. What you want to do is you want to go to your settings, go to the main settings, and then simply scroll down to where it says the action button. So tap on this guy, and you can see you have all these options. You can have the action button to turn on the silent mode. You can turn on the do not disturb or focus. You can set it to launch the camera, but you don't want to do that because we also have a camera button here that you can press to launch the camera. So I like the flashlight, but you have all these options: voice memo, recognize music, translation, magnifier, and of course you have controls. So you can tap on choose a control and access a quick control from the action button. So when you press the button, it just takes that action that you pick from here. Okay, so many options in here to customize that button. As you can see, you can even create shortcuts. So that is all fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to keep mine at the flashlight and then tap on back, and you're set and good to go. Now you can also press and hold on any application like this one right here. Press and hold and you get a menu. And I do want to let you know you have the ability to quickly access related widgets to that application. That's the small, as you can see. Okay, and if I press and hold again, I can make it bigger. So that's going to give me a bigger widget for the Photos application. Or I can just go back to the application. Just something you should know. Additionally, on the supported applications, you can lock applications. So you have a sensitive application. It could be ChatGPT. Who knows what kind of private conversations you're having with ChatGPT. So somebody can just tap it and launch it. So what you can do is you can press and hold. You're going to get this option that says require passcode. You tap on that guy, and that's going to allow you to lock the application by putting in your passcode. So now when somebody's trying to launch it, they have to put in the password to access your private application. Okay, you can do that with any supported application. Just press and hold to see if it gives you the option. Fantastic. All right, so next up, let's talk about the camera. There are some important things you want to enable with the camera. So when I launch it by default, this is all I get. You can see we don't have a grid. We don't have a level. So you may not be able to take the perfect level shots if you want. Now you can swipe up and you are able to access a couple of settings right from here. Also, you can tap right here and access the same settings. But let's quickly enable the grid and the level. Now, to get greater customization with the camera, you do have to go to the settings. And once you're inside, you want to go over to the camera. And the first thing you want to do is you want to scroll down. There's so much here, by the way, but you want to enable the grid for the composition and the level. Okay? Now when I go to my camera, at least I have a grid, and I also have a level when you actually try to take a photo or a video. So that's for the camera that you want to do immediately. One more thing I'm going to show you guys with the video, and this is very important. You paid a lot of money for this smartphone. You want to make sure that when you shoot a video, you get the proper resolution and quality. So on the top here, we have a resolution and FPS picker. So tap it. I can do 4K or I can do 1080p. And from here, I can change the frame rate. So I recommend by default, you guys keep high definition, which is 1080p, and keep 60 frames per second. That gets you very good quality, and also it doesn't take too much space, and that's the perfect video recording format. But you can see if you want to do 4K, you can do it right from here. 4K even at 120 hertz frame rate. That's going to be for the maximum quality. Okay, let's go back to high definition 60, which is best for most consumers. But I'm going to show you something. Now, when I go back to the camera and when I go back to the video, look at this. It's been reset back to high definition at 30 frames per second. So the default is set to be that. We can change that, okay? But again, you have to go to settings. And then when you're in the camera, like we just did earlier, you go to record video and you pick the default. So I recommend you pick the default to be 60 frames per second at 1080p. So now when I launch my camera, it will always default to that. But if you want to change it, boom, you can do it right from here. But again, this is all going to be up to you. You can pick the default based on your needs. And also at the bottom here, we have a bunch of options. This should be enabled and this should be enabled. And everything else here is going to be based on your needs. Alrighty? I do want to bring your attention to this menu where you can come and play with to get so many more options with the camera. I just want to go over the basics for this video to get you guys started with the best settings. That being said, back in the camera, for the most common setting, I prefer that you guys change the record sound from spatial to stereo. Most people are not going to need spatial audio, believe it or not. It's an unnecessarily enabled advanced function. So just keep it at stereo if you're just an everyday average consumer. Now in a little bit, I'm also going to talk about the actual camera button right here that allows you to launch the camera and control the camera. It's a dedicated camera button on the side right over here. So we're going to talk about that in a second, but let me cover a couple other more important things. I do want to talk about the control center. Very important, highly customizable. So you want to make sure it is customized based on your needs. As you know, we have pages on this. So here's a page, here's another page. I can play music, okay? So that would appear right here. And I can also go down again, and these are some other quick toggles you can create and edit. So basically to edit, press and hold, okay? And you can see I can change the size of any toggle that I want. I can add additional toggles or controls. So if I want this right here, I can have that right over there. I can change the size. I can move it around. So you can change this based on your needs, however you want. Completely freestyle. And then if I swipe down, this is the music area. Again, I can make this smaller and add additional toggles here. Or I can go down, I can make this a little bit smaller, and I can start adding additional stuff. Or I can add additional pages, as you can see, and have a separate area. Okay? So you can fully customize your control panel and add additional pages. Move things around, add the stuff that you want, make it yours. Let me show you guys how to customize the lock screens. So let's go to the settings right over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to go over to wallpaper. Okay, this is where you actually customize your lock screen. So right now, this is current. As you can see, you can have additional options. You can create new whatever. But we're going to look at the current wallpapers. And what you do is you simply tap on customize for the lock screen wallpaper. And that brings up the customization screen. Change the size of the clock. That's all going to be up to you. Let's keep it right here. Tap on it. Change the icons. As you can see, change the size and change the colors. You have solid colors as well if that's what you want. Okay. And also, once you do that, you can add widgets right here. I can add this, up to 4 tiny widgets. And the good news is I can grab this and I can put it to the top. So you can actually change the position of your widgets. Tap over here and you can add a different widget. Right now we have the date, but I can add the weather, as you can see. So that's great. Also, at the bottom, we have 2 shortcut buttons. You can change these to what you want. So if I tap here, plus, I can pick any shortcut that I want. Calculator application. Here's the camera. I can change that. We don't even need that because we have the camera button. So you can go over here and you can pick something else. Maybe something like maybe alarm. Okay? So now you have different shortcuts for the lock screen. And also, swipe over to get different styles, okay? That is absolutely great. So much you can do on the lock screen. Now, when I go back to my lock screen, let's show you what's going on here. Here's the calculator, here's the clock, here's my widgets, and there's my customized clock and another widget on the top with the always on display. All right, so make sure you customize that to your heart's content. Next up, when you set up your Face ID, there's a couple things you're going to be aware of. I'm going to go to my settings. I'm going to go to Face ID and passcode at the bottom right here, okay? And I want to put in my passcode to access my settings for the Face ID. I did not set it up yet, but once you set it up, you want to make sure all these options here are enabled based on your needs. So you can use Face ID to unlock your phone. You can use it to install applications and buy applications in the App Store, iTunes, make payments using the wallet, and do password autofill. And also, very important, I think it's going to be enabled by default, but make sure these two options are enabled. To use Face ID, the phone is going to require attention. So you're actually looking at the phone. So if you're asleep, nobody can use your face to unlock the phone without you knowing what's going on. So make sure both of these guys are enabled. So if you're asleep and somebody grabs the phone and puts it in front of your face, it is not going to unlock. So set these things up right after the set of Face ID. That is very, very important. Now let's move on and talk about that camera button. All right, so now let's talk about that little camera button on the side. It is a dedicated camera button, and you need to know exactly how to use it. So first, you simply press it in. It launches the camera with a nice animation. If you want to take a photo, you have to press it again, but you have to press it hard like this, okay? So that just took a photo, so you can launch and take photos. However, there's much more to it. It's very easy to use, but it could be confusing. So here's what you do. If you want to access the settings available with the camera button, you press in lightly. By default, it's going to give you access to zooming in and zooming out. You can slide up and down, as you can see, to zoom in and zoom out. If you want to access other settings connected to this option, here's what you do. You double press lightly, not hard, but lightly. So like this, double press lightly, and now I have access to all the other settings. And you can see, oops, let's do that one more time. And you can see I can go to zoom, I can go to cameras, I can go to styles, I can go to tones. And let's say I went to styles, okay? I chose it, and I can change the styles from amber to standard or whatever. And then I want to exit the styles again. Again, I double press lightly, and that takes me back. So you can always go back to the camera from here if you wish. Okay, so that's what you want to know with the camera button. Press hard to take a photo, press hard to launch the camera, but press lightly to access the settings and slide up and down to choose various settings. That's all there is to it with the camera control button. But there's one more thing I do want to show you guys. It is actually even more customizable. So if I actually go to my settings right here and scroll down and go to camera, you actually have the camera control button customization right here. So you can see, launch the camera. You can launch the camera with that button. You can launch the magnifier or the code scanner. This is all up to you. I would just keep this at the camera. So when you press the button in like this, it launches the camera. What else would you want? Okay. So you have the option to customize that if you want, but you can also choose to do single click or double click. So double press to launch or single click. I like the single click. And you can actually disable all the camera adjustments for the controls. So then you don't get confused. You just go in, launch the camera, and you just take a photo. That's it, okay? You don't get any other stuff that I showed you earlier. But if you want those things, you enable those adjustments, and you can customize those adjustments even further from here. You can even change the positions, alrighty? Or remove what you don't want because it could get confusing. So if I just wanted exposure and zoom, I could have it like that. Now when I launch the camera, and if I press lightly twice, I only have the exposure and the zoom just the way I just set it up right here. Okay, So you can turn this off so you don't get confused at all. But here's the customization area for that camera control button. So that brings us to the end of this video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop them down below and let me know. For now, guys, have a fantastic day.